Today we are going to make a garden watercolor postcard. So to start this activity, I came outside and I'm going to do a little exploring to try to find an object, an item, a flower, a rock that I want to paint. This flower was knocked down by a cat or the wind or something, so I can pick one that's already broken, and snapdragons, that could be a really cool painting. Let's see what else we can find. Another thing that I might find in the garden are some chives. And there's some good leaves here too. This is mint. That could be fun as well. Here are some really basic, what people might call weeds, but are actually really pretty, buttercups. It doesn't have to all be flowers. I could get a rock too. So next in our garden postcard project, I've brought inside everything that I collected. Now I really have to decide what I actually want to use. There's a lot of detail in a flower, in a plant, in something from nature. So I want to maybe choose selectively because I'm going to really zoom in on the object and I don't want to have to paint too many tiny little details. So there's a lot going on in the snapdragon and the chive, so I think I'm going to just choose the chive, and then I'm going to actually break the snapdragon into a smaller piece so I can really just focus on what one individual flower looks like. And I think the last piece I really like is kind of the rock to set down on top of my objects, so it makes just the teeniest, tiniest bouquet. All right, so next I am going to start my sketch. I'm going to draw really lightly and just get my main shapes down. I have a rock and two different stems, so that's what I'll start with. So I'm going to add the last few details of my sketch and then just erase and clean up any stray lines that I don't think I'm going to need. So I know I'm going to do a lot of the rock with my actual paint, so I'm going to just do a little bit of spots so that I remember where to put in some black. Okay, so once I'm happy with my sketch, then I'm going to go ahead and start my wash using my wider brush. I want to add just a thin layer of water pretty much everywhere. Really getting the background because I want to do a background color. So to get my background color, I mixed some of the blue and some of the green, and I really want kind of a lighter background, so that's already looking too dark. So I really want to water that down and just start lightly over my backdrop. So I got my lighter wash background and now I'm going to do just some color blocks, and so I can see that I've got the stems that are both green, but then the petals are actually pink and kind of this salmony pink and purple. So I'm going to first start with green and get those stems laid down since it's kind of the same color green on both. This green for me is a little bright, so I'm going to mix and add a little brown in with the green to get the stem color that I like. Okay, a little more green. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I'm just coming in with the green to add my stem color. Next, I'm going to start with my petals. So I'm gonna mix my reds and orange and yellows and get ready to do my snapdragon petals. All right, next I'm gonna come in and start on my chives. I really like that purple of the chives, so I'm hoping to capture that. Again, with just a really light wash for my first layer. Next, I wanna do my rock and kind of get some of those speckled details of my rock. The black is super dark, so I'm actually gonna add a little bit of brown to the black so that it's not perfectly black. So I'm just filling in my second layer where I'm just kind of going over my wash and making sure it's as dark as I want it in spots, adding a little bit more color where it might have gone on more unevenly. And then I'm gonna let it sit and dry before I add my next layers, which will really be the fun parts of adding the details to the petals and the rock and the plants and kind of the whole scene here. All right, so I left my watercolor overnight to dry, which was really helpful to get kind of those first 3 layers nice and dry. And now I'm gonna come in and start to add my details. So for that, I'm gonna wanna use a nice fine tip brush, and I'm gonna focus on things like the color and the texture and really focusing on my final details of my postcard. So once you're satisfied with the details and the color and every piece, you may want to let it dry completely. And then you see how it's bent a little bit because, of course, of the water that is on it. You can always put it under some heavy books before you send it out. That way it's nice and flat. And of course, do not forget to write a nice note and address and stamp and send it to someone you care about. All right, thanks.